For 10 years, I supported Tom until he got his PhD. I watched him go from a small-town kid who studied his way out to a new money tech mogul. And then he asked for a divorce. A car accident killed me. For 6 months, my spirit lingered, and I saw the ugly truth about everyone. My grandma, the one who forced me to drop out of school, collected $500,000 from the insurance payout. Tom, the man who claimed we had nothing in common, married his pregnant student, a trophy wife, within a month. Then I woke up. I was back in my sophomore year, on the exact day I was forced to drop out. Tom was waiting outside the office. "Anna," he said, trying to comfort me, "I'll help you get into a good college. Get lost. I'm getting into Harvard by myself." I shot him a glare and shoved open the office door. "Sir, I'm not dropping out." Mr. Zhang, the dean of students, pushed up his glasses. "Anna, in that case, your guardian needs to pay the outstanding $8,904.90 in tuition and fees as soon as possible." I'm here. My grandma shuffled in, carrying a big woven plastic bag. "Sir, don't listen to this kid. We're leaving." As she spoke, she started shoving my books into it. She was muttering about how much they'd be worth as scrap. "Grandma, put my books down. I'm not dropping out. If you don't come home, I don't have money for you. If they hadn't offered to pay your tuition in the first place, I never would have let you attend this stupid high school." Mr. Zhang wasn't happy to hear that. "Ma'am, when we recruited her after middle school, the tuition waiver was conditional. We offered it because we thought she could get into a top-tier university. Now that her rank has dropped from first to 500th, the school can't justify sponsoring a student who's not performing. Useless is useless then. Let's go. She's useful at home." By useful, she meant delivering milk in the morning, doing chores all day, and working at a convenience store at night. And all the money I earned would go to my so-called brother, so he could buy things for his video games. "I'm not going. Mr. Zhang, I'll study hard, I promise. Please give me another chance." I shook off my grandma's hand. Given a second chance at life, there's no way I'm giving up on my education again. But Grandma grabbed me by the ear. "You damn girl, study what? Your father just died, and we have no income. How is your brother supposed to pay for school? You're just like your mother who died early. Bad luck. Leo isn't even Dad's son. You adopted him to carry on some stupid family name. And for that, you'd throw away your own granddaughter's education." I was so furious about my brother that I screamed, seeing her usually obedient granddaughter suddenly explode. My grandma froze for a second. Then her lips started trembling, and she clutched her chest, theatrically collapsing to the floor. "You wretched girl. Are you trying to kill me? I can't go on." Her wailing drew the attention of the other teachers. Tom, who had been at the door, was long gone. I decided to fight fire with fire. I dropped to my knees in front of her, rolled up my uniform sleeve, and revealed my arm, covered in red marks. "Grandma, I'm your own flesh and blood. You're forcing me to drop out and marry me off for money. That 40-year-old Mr. Davis needs someone to feed him. When I said no, you beat me. How could you?" Hearing this, the teachers and students who had gathered around started murmuring in disbelief. Seeing it was working, I even shuffled forward on my knees, sobbing my heart out. "Grandma, I'm begging you. I'll get into a good college. I'll make money for the family." To be honest, I learned these tricks from her. In my past life, she knelt just like this to force me into that marriage. I ended up hurting Mr. Davis, stealing my ID, and running away in the middle of the night. I slept on the streets in the city, dug through trash, and ate expired bread. Only Tom seemed to care about me. His few words of comfort were my only solace back then. He sent me snacks and I sent him money for expensive tutors. And in the end, he looked down on me for being a high school dropout, saying I wasn't good enough for a professor like him. Even though I studied on my own, audited classes at his university, and mastered all the graduate-level coursework, I still wasn't enough. He still said we had nothing in common. Is a piece of paper, a diploma, really that important? Yes. And this time, I won't give it up. The crowd was getting bigger, and Mr. Zhang, worried about the scene it was causing, quickly helped us both up. Anna's grandmother, the girl is only 16. You can't force her into marriage. That's illegal. My grandma hadn't expected me to pull a stunt like that, but she didn't panic. She just stubbornly stayed on the floor. If she doesn't get married, is the school going to take care of her? If she doesn't drop out, I'm not paying a dime for tuition. Then I will. From the doorway, my literature teacher, Miss Hughes, couldn't stand it anymore. She came in. Mr. Zhang, Anna is a very bright student. Her middle school grades were excellent, but she's working so hard that she has no time left for schoolwork. I never knew her home situation was like this. I hope the school can waive part of the fees. I'll cover the rest. There's no precedent for that, Mr. Zhang frowned. Ms. Hughes glanced at my grandma. I plan to apply for her to live in the dorms. As long as she doesn't have to go home, I'm sure she can get into a top university. In my past life, Ms. Hughes had begged me to stay in school. She said my middle school teachers told her I was exceptionally smart and that it would be a shame for me to quit. But I was so stupid back then. I actually believed Tom when he said that girls can only do well before high school, and that no matter how hard they try, they can never keep up with the boys. Plus, I was so caught up in my first relationship that I had no interest in studying. My grades slipped, which made me want to study even less. It was a vicious cycle. Miss Hughes, I can't let you pay for me. As grateful as I was, this was my life, and I had to take responsibility for it. Mr. Zhang, I'm asking the school to continue my scholarship. If I get into Harvard, I'll pay back every cent. I'll even do recruitment promotions for the school. How about that? Mr. Zhang spit out a mouthful of water. Harvard? Are you serious? Our school is lucky if we get one kid into a decent state university each year. We practically have to pray for that, and you're talking about Harvard. I just didn't have time to study before, I explained, not sounding very convincing. Honestly, I felt like I was dreaming too. I'd barely studied my entire freshman year, and was way behind. Mr. Zhang clearly didn't believe me either. Never mind all that. Finals are next week. Let's see your scores before you make any more big promises. Even Ms. Hughes seemed to think I was being unrealistic. Anna, don't worry about the fees. If you feel bad, you can pay me back after you get a job. It's all the same. I was quiet for a moment. I knew some things could only be proven with results. In my past life, to have something to talk about with Tom, I audited his advanced math classes. I stood by the door and listened. I had the foundation. I once even solved a problem the professor gave out faster than anyone else. I was confident in my intelligence. Plus, after years of working, my English was pretty good, especially my speaking. The biggest problem now was the lack of time. But no matter what, I had no way out. And I couldn't show any weakness now. Mr. Zhang, for the finals next week, if I can score in the top 10 in our grade, will the school believe in me then? Ms. Hughes patted my shoulder, about to say something, but I gave her a determined nod. She turned to plead my case. Mr. Zhang, I'll tutor her. Just give her one chance. Well, if you're putting it that way, Ms. Hughes, fine. But if she doesn't make the cut, she can't keep hanging around. Deal. Without even glancing at my grandma, I snatched the woven plastic bag from her and dragged it back to the classroom. It was break time, and students were laughing and fooling around. The moment I walked in, all eyes turned to me. I dragged the bag through the aisle, following my memory to my seat. This seat's taken. A tall, tan guy was sitting right on my desk. This was my desk mate, Greg, a classic school bully whose favorite hobby was picking on me. My desk drawer was already stuffed with his junk. A game console, snacks, all sorts of cards, and random magazines. Well, I'm back, and I need to start studying, I said, not bothering to argue with a little punk like him. Get your stuff out. With your grades? Why bother studying? You couldn't even get into a community college. Don't waste your time. Look at you dragging that trash bag around. You're trash yourself. Go home and pick through the garbage. Haha. The other students started laughing along. Yeah, I told you she cheated on the entrance exams. So what if she was 10th in the city then? Now she's 10th from the bottom. Haha. Slam. I slammed the bag down on the desk, shooting a ferocious glare at the laughing students. Seeing their normally timid, weak classmate blow up left them stunned and staring at me. I dumped everything out of the drawer, pulled out my chair, sat down, and started taking out my books. Greg, You can just buy your way into college, but I can't. So you'd better not disturb me. I don't have time for your moronic little bullying games." Greg was stunned again, his face turning bright red. The other students didn't know his family had paid to get him into this high school. In my past life, I only found out later. Tom told me. The two of them were good friends. What are you talking about? I hadn't spelled it out, but he clearly got the message. His bravado vanished. Just then, the English teacher walked in, and the classroom finally fell silent. Our English teacher, Miss Shun, was tough. They called her the Dragon Lady. She was in a bad mood again, which could only mean our class's mock exam scores were lower than the other classes again. You could have gotten an 80 on this test with your eyes closed. Yet some of you only managed a 40. I could sprinkle birdseed on the answer sheet, let a chicken peck at it, and it would score higher than some of you. She fumed, slamming the papers on her desk. Now we're going to have a pop quiz on last night's vocabulary. One wrong, and you're copying it 100 times. I need 2 people to come up to the board. Greg looked at the bright red 40 on my test, and raised a hand for me. Teacher, Anna said she knows them. He shot me a smug, challenging look. I sneered internally. Looks like I went too easy on him. The teacher was already annoyed with my grades. Fine, Anna, you come up. As the last place student, if you get any wrong, you'll copy them 200 times. Teacher, Greg wants to do the quiz too, I said, giving Greg a sweet smile. Greg froze, clearly not expecting me to fight back immediately. We both went up to the board. At first, I didn't write anything on purpose. Greg was practically preening. Can't write it, can you? Might as well just go sit down and start your 200 copies now. It'll be faster. Honestly, sophomore level English words were a piece of cake for someone who'd memorized GRE vocabulary. And I'd already figured out that the teacher was calling out words from Unit 4, in order. As luck would have it, right before my accident, I'd been tutoring a kid on this exact material. Greg, you want to bet I can wait until she's finished and write them all at once? What are you talking about? If you can do that, I'll do a handstand while I do my punishment copies. No talking. Miss Shin snapped at us and continued calling out words. My interruption threw Greg off. He missed a few, leaving blank spaces on the board. You're sure about that handstand? I raised my voice intentionally. A man's gotta keep his word. Everyone heard you. Greg was annoyed. Then do it. I'm just waiting for the teacher to finish. Anna. Miss Shin was about to yell at me when she saw me start writing on the board at lightning speed. I was so fast that by the end, I was ahead of her. The other students gasped in amazement. Greg grabbed my wrist and started patting down my uniform pocket. What did you hide in there? Greg. Stop that. Miss Shin shouted. I was watching her the whole time. She did it herself. Anna, I had no idea you memorized the entire unit's vocabulary in order. Very good. Don't get a 40 next time. Greg, you got 5 wrong. Come to my office after class to do your copies. I paid rapt attention for the rest of the class. Just before the bell, Miss Shin threw a piece of chalk toward the window. The student sitting there was Liam, who was known among the students as the Sleeping Saint. Rumor had it that from the day he started at this school, no one had ever seen anything but the back of his head. But the school didn't dare say a word, terrified they'd upset the guy whose family had funded the entire building we were in. In my past life, I never really interacted with Liam. The only time was after I dropped out. I was working under the table at a nearby restaurant, and a customer was giving me a hard time. He stepped in and helped me out. But I was so worried Tom would get jealous that I just ran away. After class, I dragged my woven plastic bag and sat down next to Liam. I needed a new desk mate. Greg was too much of a nuisance. Maybe I was making too much noise, because Liam opened his eyes. He had pale skin and looked at me with sleepy, annoyed eyes. Liam, I don't want to sit with Greg anymore. I'll sit here if you don't mind, I said, quickly pulling my books out and arranging them on the desk. You're asking me after you've already set everything up? Liam's voice was like a low, murmuring spring, deep and quiet. Because I knew you wouldn't mind, I said, trying to sound a little charming, and I lightly touched his arm. The tips of his pale ears instantly turned red. He pulled his arm away, turned his face, and said in the same cool tone, just don't wake me up. The 2 girls in front of us turned around and glared at me. then started whispering. Oh my God, Liam actually said yes. How did she get to just sit there? If I knew it was that easy, I would have done it myself. Yeah, go tell the teacher she switched seats without permission. I cleared my throat. Sure, go ahead. But have you guys heard that Ms. Hughes is going to pay my tuition? Teenage girls are so predictable. One sentence, and they thought Ms. Hughes was playing favorites with me. They didn't dare say another word, which was exactly the peace and quiet I wanted. Beside me, the head buried in its arms shook slightly with a very low, muffled laugh. You really had to listen closely to hear it. During the lunch break, the classroom was buzzing with noise, but I kept my head down and studied until I saw Tom walk in. He'd been gone all morning, apparently preparing for some English competition. There was only one spot. Why should that jerk get it? He walked straight toward me. Are you okay? I got you some food from the cafeteria. Oh, so that's why you disappeared from the office door. I stared at him. Right now was when Tom and I were just starting to have feelings for each other. He was an orphan, and I was basically one. In our youth, we saw each other as kindred spirits, finding warmth in one another. I remembered how he swore he'd get into a good college to prove everyone who looked down on him wrong. I remembered him crying, saying he wanted to repeat a year, but had no money and begging me to help. And I remembered the look on his face when he gave me the silent treatment, forcing me to agree to a divorce. Ooh, look. The #1 student is bringing lunch for the last place student. You two are so pathetic, pretending to be in a relationship. Chloe, our class beauty, entered the room, her voice dripping with scorn, making her little clique behind her burst into laughter. She had gathered a small group around her, constantly cycling members in and out. Bringing someone a lunchbox means you're dating? How would you know so much about it? Are you secretly dating someone? I said casually as I packed my books into the woven bag. Nobody knew it yet, but after graduation, the news spread in our class group chat. She had an online boyfriend in high school, snuck out at night to internet cafes, and after graduation, she met up with him, got pregnant, and became a mom before she even finished college. You're full of it. Chloe looked like I had stepped on her tail. She lunged forward, about to throw my books. I shoved her away and glanced at Tom, who was just standing there frozen. He had a fragile ego, so in our past life, I was always the one to make a scene. The way he was looking at me now was exactly the same as back then. I couldn't be bothered with him, I was busy protecting my books. But Chloe's friends rushed over, the bag split open, and they started stomping on my books. You can mess with me, but not my books. I couldn't hold back. I kicked a desk and charged at them. After a chaotic brawl, the 5 of us were dragged to the office by our homeroom and math teacher, Mr. Gao. Mr. Gao slammed his hand on the desk. What do you think you're doing? A group of girls fighting. Is this how students in an honors class behave? Are you not ashamed? If you don't want to study, just go home. Especially you, he said, pointing at me. Anna, you have no shame at all. I don't usually like to be harsh on girls, but your grades are terrible, your character is terrible, you fight, you're late, you skip. Do you know how many conduct points our class has lost because of you? They stepped on my books first, I tried to explain. Mr. Gao wouldn't believe me. After all, Chloe was always the perfect student in front of teachers. Chloe, after composing herself, suddenly put on a timid expression and raised her hand. Mr. Gao, I want to report Anna for bad behavior. She was seducing Tom. When I caught them and said I'd tell a teacher, they attacked me. Tom was the school's best hope for getting into a top university. Hearing this, Mr. Gao's anger boiled over. He threw a book at me, but Ms. Hughes, who was at the next desk, intercepted it. Gao, seducing is a strong word. Why don't you ask the boy? Tom was brought in quickly. Mr. Gao questioned him angrily. This never happened in my past life, but I already knew what Tom would say. He was nothing but a refined opportunist. Anna asked me to get her a plate of food. Tom's voice was full of embarrassment, and his face was as pale as his worn-out school uniform. Teacher, I really didn't have any other intentions. He warmed to his topic. She's been asking me questions about schoolwork. That's how we... Wait, what subject did I ask you about? My sudden interruption made Tom stammer. English. What a joke. Me, someone who could converse fluently with foreigners, As a waitress, needing to ask you about English? Mr. Gao, he's lying. First, he offered to get me food. Second, I have never asked him for help with English. My English might not be the best, but I certainly don't need his help. You, with a 40 on your test, are saying your English is better than Tom's? Mr. Gao waved the grade sheet in his hand and threw it in my face. Staring at the dark, inky 40, I had nothing to say. Fine. If you don't pass English on the final, you can get out of the honors class. Go to a regular class. Okay, I replied coolly. Back at my seat, I started planning my study schedule. This was for college admissions after all. Even though I'd studied advanced math and my English was good, I'd never actually done any SAT-style questions. I had no idea if I could do it. I was getting anxious and started bouncing my leg without realizing it. Liam, sitting next to me, frowned slightly. Can you please not move? Sorry, I said, shamelessly taking the opportunity. Can I borrow your review materials? After all, the SAT prep book on his desk was so pristine it looked like he was planning to sell it to next year's students. Liam didn't say anything, just pushed the book toward me. I flipped to the table of contents and looked at the sections of the English test. The prep book had two versions, a harder one for second-round review senior year, and an easier one for first-round review. Either way, they were organized by topic. Multiple choice, reading comprehension, writing. Is that how you study? Are you flipping through it or reading it? Chloe jeered from a few seats away. Other students noticed how fast I was turning the pages and started to snicker. Is that the legendary quantum reading method? Finishing a book in 25 seconds? More like 250, someone quipped. I ignored them and kept reading. English is all about vocabulary, and the graduate level words I'd memorized already covered everything for the SATs. Even though I hadn't practiced the questions much, a little bit of practice would be enough. If Tom had said I'd asked him about math, I might have backed down. SAT math wasn't something you could solve just because you knew advanced calculus. But English? Not a problem. As my mind wandered, Liam suddenly kicked the leg of his desk. The loud bang was followed by dead silence. What's all the noise? He snapped, glaring at the group of girls who had been chattering. Chloe and her friends looked like strangled ducks, their faces red with a mix of anger and embarrassment. Being called out by the handsome guy they had a crush on was always humiliating. Chloe ran out of the room crying, probably to find her uncle, Mr. Gao. I muttered to myself. Can you really afford to mess with him? Did she really think Mr. Gao would give Liam a hard time just for her? What are you laughing at? Liam heard me. You think I'm a bully who throws his weight around? I didn't expect him to be so sharp. No, I just have a toothache. Whether he believed me or not, I started tidying up his desk for him. You sleep. Go ahead and sleep. I promise I won't say another word. My brief interaction with Liam in my past life made me think he wasn't as cold and unapproachable as he seemed. I started organizing his things. I'll wake you up when it's time. How to arrange the books, where to put the pens, I had my own system. Liam was about to stop me from tidying up. We organize our desks the same way. The comment sounded a bit like a pickup line. My hands paused, and a blush crept up his face. I didn't mean it like that. I know. I believe you. Liam didn't say anything else. At that moment, I had no idea how much those two words, I believe you, meant to him. As expected, Mr. Gao didn't do anything about Liam. Chloe came back crying. With her sobs as a soundtrack, I happily got through my first evening study session of my new life. Like heavenly music, my ears are suddenly clear. Reciting poetry felt particularly appropriate. But when school let out, my life felt as tragic as the poet's subject. I didn't have a dorm room yet, so I had to go home for now. The 600-square-foot apartment in the old part of town was the only thing my father left behind. Leo had the master bedroom, my grandma had the second bedroom, and I had a small bedroom partitioned off in the living room. At 10 o'clock, the only sound in the house was a sweet female voice from a game, Double Kill. I quickly took a shower, but before I could get back to my little partitioned space, Leo came out. His hair was a dry, yellow mess, he was out of breath after just a few steps, and his face was greasy. He didn't look like he belonged in our family at all. His eyes flickered, landing where they shouldn't. Transfer me 500. I need to buy a new skin. When he said the word skin, he actually gulped. My skin isn't so bad either, Leo said as his fat hand reached for me. Smack. I slapped his hand away. Are you crazy? I'm warning you, touch me again and I'll break your hand. My decision not to drop out had set off a butterfly effect. What are you dodging for? We're not even related by blood. Leo squeezed into my space, trying to cover my mouth. You bastard. I knew I couldn't count on my grandma. I grabbed the lamp next to me and smashed it on the back of Leo's head. With a loud crash, the outwardly tough but inwardly weak Leo collapsed. He struggled, but his own fat wouldn't let him get up. His cry of pain finally brought my grandma out. Why did you hit your brother? She demanded, grabbing and pinching me without asking what happened. I fended her off with one hand and dialed 911 with the other. Hello 911? Yes, it's an assault. I don't know the person. When she heard I had called the police, my grandma panicked. She couldn't reach my phone, so she just threw herself on the floor. What have I done to deserve this? If you have your brother arrested, how am I supposed to live? I won't be able to face your father in the afterlife. Leo also staggered over, trying to grab my phone. I sidestepped and ran out, all the way downstairs, and waited for the police car to arrive. 2 officers accompanied me back upstairs. As soon as we walked in, we saw Leo groaning as if he were seriously injured. Is this the person? Yes, I'm so scared. I don't even know who he is, I said, my voice trembling, putting on a good show. What do you mean you don't know him? This is your brother. My grandma rushed over. Officers, they're brother and sister. This is all a misunderstanding. I'm an only child. I've been at school, leaving early and coming back late. I've never seen this person before, I said through tears, hiding behind one of the officers. Never seen him? Your brother has been here for 6 months. Leo had been sent over by his parents right after my dad died. Do you have the paperwork? The officer asked, unconcerned with the drama. Without official adoption papers, it's not legally recognized. But he's family. He's just a kid, what does he know? My grandma tried to argue. The kid was so overweight he defied any age definition. I provided my evidence. A recording on my old phone. Leo didn't dare say a word. My grandma finally started to back down, her voice pleading. Anna, he's your brother. You can't let them take him away. He's going to be a government official someday. A government official? That requires a bachelor's degree. Leo? He dropped out of vocational school. I scoffed inwardly, letting her throw her tantrum. After Leo was taken away, my grandma finally realized I wasn't going to budge. She viciously crumpled my clothes. You're a tough one, aren't you? Then get out of this house. This is your brother's house now. Get as far away from here as you can. You won't get a single penny of this family's money. With that, the door was slammed in my face. Carrying a small bundle of my things, I left the home I had lived in for 16 years. With nowhere to go, I could only spend the night at a 24-hour McDonald's. In my past life, after I ran away, I never once went back. Leo smoothly inherited everything from my grandma. But this time, I wasn't going to let that animal get away with it. The apartment was in my father's name. Legally, I was entitled to at least half of it. But with finals just around the corner, I had to wait until after the exams to deal with it. Sighing, I pulled out the review materials I got from Liam and started doing problems under the 5 a.m. light. At 6:30, for the first time, I wasn't at a part-time job. I went straight to the morning study session. Not many people were there, but Tom was among them. Unlike Liam, Tom was on a school scholarship. With no other talents, he had to study himself to death to hold on to his fragile opportunity. I used to admire his self-discipline, right up until he was getting his PhD and refused to marry me. Tom, it's been 9 years. You've got your doctorate, and we're stable. I had waited for this moment for so long. Tom was reserved, so I decided to propose. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Anna, I need to think about it. But his thinking lasted 3 years. Tom graduated, and I finally forced the issue by getting pregnant. But right after we got married, I had a miscarriage due to overwork. Then he wanted a divorce. You were the one who said you wanted to be with me forever. Why did you change? Why? I screamed, unwilling to accept it. He had split our once happy home in two, never crossing the line. The Professor Tom who could chat happily with the cafeteria lady wouldn't say a single word to me. Everyone knew Professor Tom had a wife from the countryside, a woman who threw dishes, smashed pots, and used their child to force him to repay his debt of gratitude. Tom said coldly, "I can give you back all the money you spent on me over the years, as long as you agree to a divorce." Give me back the money? Why didn't you say that when you were repeating a year in high school? Why didn't you say that when you needed money for college tuition, or for grad school prep classes? My questions were laced with despair. Now that you're successful, you just want to walk away? Am I supposed to just lose everything, my time and my money? At 30, I was filled with resentment. I stormed out of the house and was hit by a car. It's better not to dwell on the past. Just seeing Tom was enough to make me lose my appetite. It was disgusting. But Tom slowly walked over. About that bet yesterday, I'll help you explain things to Mr. Gao. He looked at the book in my hand. That's Liam's book, right? You shouldn't get too close to him. We're not from the same world. What do you mean, not from the same world? Does being poor automatically make you a better person? I knew Tom's insecurities and poked right at them. And I haven't even settled the score with you for lying yesterday. I had no choice. Tom's face went pale, his defense weak. Your motto is to benefit yourself at others' expense. You and I are the ones who walk different paths. Tom was about to say something else when more people started trickling into the classroom. That's my seat. Liam had arrived quite early. It was just a statement of fact, but it made Tom flee as if he'd suffered a great humiliation. After Liam sat down, I pushed the completed exercises over to his side. Thanks. He immediately put his head down on the desk to sleep. Then he suddenly asked, "Thanks for this, or for just now?" I knew he was asking about Tom, but I didn't say anything. The week of final exam review always flew by. It was mostly self-study, filling in the gaps. All that brainpower uses a lot of energy, which is why many high school students keep snacks in their desks. Some people's desks were practically convenience stores. Unfortunately, mine was not. Not only was it not a convenience store, it was an empty warehouse. Today I finally understand what a stomach rumbling like thunder means. Liam grumbled, looking grumpy from being woken up. A little tuft of hair sticking up suited his sleepy look perfectly. Sorry. I stuffed the last few bites of food into my mouth and gulped down some hot water to soothe my stomach. I was broke with only $200 to my name, and I was planning to use that to consult a lawyer about inheritance law. This week, I could only afford one meal a day, surviving on willpower. I'd eat more during the exam week. Thank goodness for Liam's personal convenience store. Whatever, just don't wake me up, Liam mumbled, pulling a loaf of bread from his backpack and handing it to me. When he saw I wasn't taking it, he said impatiently, "I bought this one myself. The stuff in my desk is all from other people. Giving it to you would be disrespectful to them," Liam said, seeming a bit more talkative today. "No wonder so many people have a crush on you," I remarked, taking a bite of the bread. "If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all." The boy, who had already buried his head to go back to sleep, had his ears turn red again at my comment. This kid, how can he be so cute? Hey, how about I help you with math? I genuinely wanted to repay him. Since he was going to study abroad later, his English must be good. And I had made some good progress with math this morning. Liam silently opened our test papers. One had a bright red 25, the other a bright red 66. "You're sure you want to help me with math? Would you believe me if I said my math was pretty good in middle school?" He rolled his eyes at me and went back to sleep. I survived until the day of the final exam by mooching Liam's bread every day. As soon as I entered the exam room, I met Mr. Gao's death stare. I looked around and saw the room was filled with our school's finest. The exam seating was based on grades. As the last place student in my class, I was successfully integrated with the regular classes, taking the test in the science lab. A girl with a bob cut poked me. "Hey, want to help each other out? Some people better not even think about cheating. I will be watching you very closely," Mr. Gao announced, staring directly at me. I quietly raised my hand. "Teacher, I want to take the test next to you. The lighting here is bad." One trick to rule them all. I'd like to see someone try to frame me when I'm sitting right next to the teacher's desk. I successfully moved to the front and got my literature test paper. Literature is a subject that really depends on your foundation. If you have a strong base, you can get a decent score even if you haven't been paying attention in class. But this week I'd only focused on English and math, so I was leaving literature up to fate. I wrote diligently, not leaving a single question blank. When I looked up, I saw Mr. Gao ignoring all the other students and staring only at me. Our eyes met, and I calmly looked away. I had seen that look of disgust so many times from Tom's colleagues and classmates. I was immune to it by now. Normally, the proctors rotate, so I was surprised to see Mr. Gao for the math exam too. He was really out to get me. I remained unbothered, but then Mr. Gao did something unexpected. He sat down right in front of me and watched me do my test. What was this, so he could get a better view? But I wasn't scared. "Teacher, you're blocking my light," I said sweetly, catching a glimpse of Dean Zhang doing his rounds outside the window. "You, Gao. This is a mock final. You're not allowed to disturb the students." Dean Zhang hissed quietly. Now the problems seem to be solving themselves. Mr. Gao glared at me and walked to another part of the room. Thwack. A paper ball landed on my desk. I looked up and saw Mr. Gao staring at me furiously. I knew you were going to cheat. I didn't. Don't deny it. You think the lab cameras are off. I'll deal with you after the exam. Mr. Gao took my test paper away. "Whoever threw this answer key, I suggest you stand up right now." The classroom was silent, and his anger grew. Soon the deans from all 3 grades were there. We were all kept in the room after the tests were collected. They checked the security footage and quickly found the girl with the bob cut. Her round face was filled with fear. She kept glancing at me, practically screaming accomplice with her eyes. Even the worst soap operas had better acting. I sighed and raised my hand. It was her. "Teacher, I'm sorry." She asked me to pass her the answers. She blurted out before I could finish. I had no idea that little round-faced girl had such a loud voice. They were definitely whispering to each other before the exam. Mr. Gao immediately added, "Anna, I can't believe you would cheat. A student from the honors class cheating, you're the first." The round-faced girl cried out, "Let's just confess. If we admit we were wrong, the teachers will forgive us." "Who told you to frame me?" He stared at her coldly. "I don't even know who you are. The evidence is right here, and you're still denying it? Bad at school, bad character." Mr. Gao's face was flushed with the certainty of a scientist who had just proven a formula. "I have evidence too." I opened my test paper and pointed to the last problem, a question about the locus of a point P. This problem, I doubt she could solve it. Dean Zhang looked. Sure enough, my solution for question 20 was filled out completely, while several earlier questions were blank. He then looked at the little paper ball. It had answers, but only for the simple fill in the blanks and multiple choice questions. If I can solve the last problem, why would I need her answers? Then why didn't you do the earlier ones? Dean Zhang spotted the inconsistency. Mr. Gao thought I was cheating and took my paper away. I didn't have time, I said matter-of-factly. The real reason was that I had only reviewed problems about fixed points and nothing else. Even this type of problem, I had been completely stuck on until Liam happened to give me a hint that made it all click. "I can solve it for you right here, right now." Seeing Mr. Gao about to protest, I grabbed a marker and started writing furiously on the whiteboard. I even explained my steps as I wrote. The round-faced girl was dumbfounded. "All right, now can you tell us why you tried to frame me?" The girl was taken away, and a little while later, Chloe and Liam were brought in as well. Thankfully, Liam came back quickly. "Sorry for dragging you into this," I said, embarrassed. Liam just shook his head. That's when I found out that the girl had a crush on Liam. Chloe had manipulated her, making her believe I was shamelessly pursuing Liam, which led to the whole setup. "If it weren't for me, you wouldn't have failed math," Liam said, looking at me apologetically. The corners of his eyes were a little red. A handsome guy crying is a beautiful sight, but this was obviously not normal. That's just blaming the victim. If a tree gets blown over by the wind, you don't blame the tree, do you? I whispered, trying to comfort him. You believe I had nothing to do with this? I could say it 100 times, and the answer would still be the same. I believe you. I repeated the words Liam had said to me in my past life. That phrase, I believe this waitress. She didn't do it on purpose. His deep, magnetic voice echoed in my ears again. Why do I keep thinking about Liam from back then? I couldn't help but blush. He's just a kid. What am I thinking? It must be because he's so handsome. Luckily, no one noticed us both blushing. Everyone was gathered around Greg, listening to him dramatically recount how Mr. Gao got chewed out. He said Mr. Gao got a real earful. The principal saw on the security footage how long he stood next to me, and concluded that he was a poor proctor with limited professional skills. With that good news, the English exam arrived. I casually reported Greg for trying to bring his phone into the exam. Just as I was feeling pleased with myself, Tom appeared in front of me. After I had put him in his place, Tom had stopped trying to talk to me. But just before we went into the English exam, he stopped me. I'll ask them to go easy on you. Tom said his piece and walked away, not giving me a chance to fire back a few choice words. Go easy on me? So you've already decided I'm going to fail? Fueled by that anger, I scribbled furiously through the entire English exam. This time, there was no Mr. Gao to bother me, and everything went smoothly. The science exams also went off without a hitch. Now all there was to do was wait for the results. I started clearing my desk, planning to review the 6 core subjects over the summer. Are you still sleeping at McDonald's this summer? It was rare for Liam to start a conversation. Maybe he still felt guilty about the cheating incident. It's warm out now, so it's fine. I had already planned to see a lawyer, so I just gave him a vague answer. How about this? I'll hire you as a tutor. 200 a session, Liam said, as if he'd been thinking about it for a while. The cheating thing really had nothing to do with you. You don't have to worry about it, really. I rambled, then got excited and grabbed his hand. But you know, I'm actually a really good tutor. Liam's gaze drifted down to my previous test papers on the desk. I slapped my hand over them. The 25 was a fluke. Okay. Liam nodded and gave me his phone number. Awkward. I didn't have a phone yet. With nothing to lose, I went to Ms. Hughes for help, asking if she knew any pro bono lawyers. Mr. Davis, my student is a minor. Please do what you can to help her. I was lucky to have such a great teacher. Ms. Hughes treated my problem as her own, running around to help me. Ma'am, once I get into Harvard, I'll make sure you get interviewed. I said gratefully. Ms. Hughes laughed. I was here when you were recruited. High school is very different from middle school. I don't care what college you get into, as long as you try your best. Ms. Hughes thought I was joking, until the next day, when the final exam scores were posted. An English score of 142. Top 10 in the entire city. Early in the morning, Dean Zhang ran to the sophomore teacher's office, excitedly announcing the news. Everyone crowded around to see the results for the honors class, and immediately started congratulating Miss Shun, the English teacher. They all knew Tom was a top student, but they didn't know he was this good. Miss Shun feigned modesty. Oh, Tom is just a bit lopsided. His English is excellent. When Tom walked in, she clapped him on the shoulder. Great job. A 142. Even the top high school in the city rarely sees a score that high. Even Tom couldn't believe it. The test was harder than usual. Maybe they graded it leniently? I don't think I did that well, Tom said, habitually modest. If it wasn't you, who else could it be? Who else in the honors class is that good at English? Miss Shun hadn't even looked at the name, just heard the dean announce the class number. From outside the office, I could hear the commotion. Highest English score. Ms. Hughes led the way, and I followed confidently. Miss Shun was with Tom, about to check his other scores, when she looked up and saw me. Tom got a 142, the highest in the grade. She said, her voice full of pride. I don't think so, Miss Shun. Ms. Hughes, who had seen the full results, tried to interject. Don't, Miss Hughes. Anna here made the bet herself. Our class can't accommodate such a big shot. Mr. Gao, who had long been annoyed by how I dragged down the class average, chimed in. Mr. Gao, Anna was just speaking in the heat of the moment. Can't we let it go? Tom said, trying to mediate. What a performance. Mr. Gao, I suggest you take a closer look at the scores. Dean Zhang, unable to watch anymore, prompted him. I had already guessed the outcome from the smile Ms. Hughes gave me. Literature 99, Math 40, English 142, Physics 40, Chemistry 29, Biology 30. Ms. Hughes broke the awkward silence, reading out the scores. Congratulations, Anna. Your English is excellent. As for the math score, everyone knew Mr. Gao was the reason for that. If you factored in the math I didn't have time to finish, I was on track for a good state school. Mr. Gao's face went from pale to green. This is impossible. She cheated. Gao. The mock final was an original test created by the curriculum department. Another teacher whispered, unable to stand it. There are no answer keys online. Amid the chaos, Tom just stood there, looking as if he'd been dealt a massive blow. Mr. Gao, do you get it now? I never asked Tom for help with English, and I certainly wasn't seducing him. I can't stand him. Every single second I have to look at him makes me sick. The thought of the silent treatment, the 10 years I wasted, the pain of my miscarriage, it all came rushing back, and my voice was filled with rage. This was Mr. Gao's mistake for not investigating properly. Anna, don't worry, I'll have Mr. Gao apologize to you. Dean Zhang said, as if he had just remembered my admission scores. I don't need anyone's apology. I just want to switch classes. Tom walked out in a daze. He was first in the grade, but his English score was only second. But this was just the first step. I was going to crush him bit by bit during junior year. Turning him from a small-town test was into a small-town screw-up. I went to find Miss Shun, the English teacher. Ma'am, thank you for your guidance. I'd like to participate in the English competition. Having the top scorer in her subject, whether it was me or Tom, was a win for her. Of course you can. I knew you had a lot of potential. It's just that the spot. You and Tom are classmates. Mr. Gao must have heard about this because he showed up with Tom to stop me. One exam doesn't prove anything. Tom has been number 1 every year, consistently. Ms. Shin looked conflicted, so I went and got Dean Zhang. Dean Zhang understood the situation and gathered the other English teachers for an on-the-spot competition. When his own interests were threatened, Tom looked both pained and regretful. Besides that one time, how have I ever wronged you? Why are you doing this to me? The English competition offered extra points for college applications. This is all for the good of the school. I replied righteously. Then you're going to fail spectacularly, Tom threatened. Soon other students from the honors class came to watch. They sneered. Gets first place one time and her head gets all big. What a joke. Her grades were so bad before, and now she has the nerve to challenge the number 1 student? Who knows if she cheated? These are TOEFL speaking prompts. Take a look, and you'll respond directly in a moment. The TOEFL has a much larger vocabulary than high school English, but doesn't focus as much on grammar. It was tailor-made for me. In my past life, I had studied for it. I just hadn't finished. Memorizing words was like a small ray of light in my otherwise bleak life. But Tom didn't know any of this. All he knew was that he had attended competition training. If you back out now, you won't lose so badly. As expected, Tom went up and spoke eloquently. His vocabulary was far beyond the high school level, almost TOEFL level, which was very difficult for a high school student. Listening, speaking, reading, writing, and translating, he performed well in all 5 areas. The English teachers nodded in approval. Just get down from there. Don't embarrass yourself. Chloe heckled, and her little group of friends laughed hysterically. And her clothes are so shabby. She's not fit for a competition. Unless it's a begging competition. No matter how well you dress, it is also a local stall. I raised my hand, went on stage, and let loose with fluent English, advanced vocabulary, and even some slang. Are you kidding me? You think I worked all those jobs for nothing? To make more money, I worked in many high-end restaurants. Seeing the smiles on the English teachers' faces, I knew I had this in the bag. Tom, this time, I'm going to clip your wings. Getting into college? Not happening. Not only that, but I also successfully transferred to Ms. Hughes's class. Everything was going perfectly, though I would miss having Liam as a deskmate. Over the summer, I would do my best to help him improve his math scores. Anna, the court has accepted your case. Because the property rights in your identity are clear, they will issue a ruling soon, Mr. Davis, the lawyer, told me the good news. About the apartment. Could you please help me sell it? I had no desire to live there. Just after I hung up, Liam didn't show up, but my grandma and Leo did. Leo was a minor, and it was attempted assault, so he was let out after a few days of counseling. Not far away stood a stout middle-aged couple. You wretched girl, drop the lawsuit. The house is supposed to go to the boy. What does a girl need a house for? My grandma started with her usual insults. You can tell that to the judge. I didn't know how they found me. I started packing my books to leave. Leo grabbed my backpack, and I shot him a cold stare. The fat on his face quivered, and he let go. The next time you show your face around me, I'll beat you up every single time I see you. I warned him. The middle-aged couple came over and blocked my way. You're Anna, right? We're your grandma's third cousin's nephew's wife's, something or other, the plump woman said, trying to be friendly. We're here to mediate. You go to school, we won't stop you. When you get married, your brother will carry you to the car. We'll be your family from now on. They were so obvious about their intentions, it was almost funny. And my grandma was willing to sell me out for these distant relatives, for the sake of continuing the family line. And I was supposed to be grateful that they were letting me go to school? A sour feeling rose in my chest. There's no room for discussion. From now on, let's pretend we don't know each other. The plump woman tried to grab me, but I dodged and shouted, "Kidnappers!" Luckily, we were in a mall, and security came quickly. No matter how the four of them tried to explain, they were thrown out. Before they were escorted away, I told the woman, "Don't come looking for me again. Otherwise, I'll make sure your son can never have children. See if I don't. If you back off now, what's my grandma's is still yours." A few days later, Mr. Davis told me they had reached an agreement. My grandma and I would split it 50-50. The plump woman bought the apartment for half its market value. And suddenly I had $300,000. As for how the woman would take care of my grandma from then on, that was their business. I did hear that the garage downstairs was converted into a small room. I wonder who that was for? After getting the money, I bought a phone and apologized to Liam. I didn't have a phone before and something came up, so I couldn't tell you. I felt a little guilty for flaking on our first tutoring session. I was worried about you that day, so I asked the shop owner for the security footage. Liam said, his tone unusually concerned. Besides your grandmother, who were those other people? You can tell me. Didn't you say you believe me? Looking into Liam's worried eyes, I caved and told him everything. Do you want me to help? Liam was angry, a complete departure from his usual cool demeanor. I couldn't help but pinch his cheek. I can handle it myself. After all, I was almost 30 in my past life. To me, he was just a kid. But I didn't expect that small gesture to make his face flush. If you do that, I might get the wrong idea. The boy's eyes were burning with an intensity that was impossible to miss. But I still had things I needed to do. I could only laugh it off. It's senior year. What wrong ideas could there be? To stop him from asking more questions, I invited Liam to go stuff Leo in a sack and beat him up. But Liam was in a particularly bad mood that day, which led to what happened next. Let me go. Stop hitting me. Leo screamed in agony. As we heard footsteps approaching from the far end of the alley, Liam grabbed my hand, and we ran. Ha ha, that felt so good. Thanks. The run had left me breathless, and I leaned against a wall to catch my breath. Liam's eyes were bright, his usual calm composure back in place. After the SATs, when we're in college, I'll be waiting for you to explain that wrong idea. This. How did he still remember that? After setting up a tutoring schedule, I rented an apartment and filled my days with studying. Hard work determines your floor, but talent determines your ceiling. Getting into Harvard wasn't something you could just talk your way into. I was sleeping only 3 or 4 hours a night, completely absorbed in my studies. Summer ended quickly, and school started again. I had a farewell gift for Liam. We won't be deskmates next semester. This is for you. Liam looked up and tapped his test paper. I didn't prepare a farewell gift. Getting into a good college will be the best gift you can give me. I smiled like a proud mother. You're acting so old. Liam ruffled my hair. The next day, I saw Liam in Ms. Hughes's class. My dad is donating another building. Might as well use the privilege. He spread out a math test, silencing me with the problem. These two are really hard. Did you pay a fortune for this test again? I was immediately hooked. Let me see how I do. Math is a subject that respects time. The more you put in, the more you get out. Away from Mr. Gao's class, Liam and I started learning under Ms. Hughes. Even though it was a regular class with moderately difficult problems, Ms. Hughes didn't require us to listen to her lectures. Instead, she assigned us material to self-study and held extra sessions in the evening. This model was perfect for me. I watched my grades climb, getting closer and closer to Tom's rank. Of course, Liam was also steadily improving. 310th, 155th, 33rd. Before the first semester finals of senior year, Lily was reading off my rankings from the last 3 exams. Not even a rocket moves that fast, Lily said with envy. What did I do to deserve sitting in front of a genius? Only 33rd. You're still way behind Chloe. Unfortunately, you can't escape the haters. We're talking in our own class. Who asked you to butt in? Only 33rd? What's your rank then? Lily shot back. Her uncle was a lawyer and it showed. No matter what, it's better than someone who brags about getting into Harvard. Chloe's friend, a girl with short hair named Zoe, retorted. Even if I don't get into Harvard, I'll still do better than you. I couldn't stand Zoe's arrogance. I turned to Chloe. Want to make a bet? Next exam, whoever ranks lower has to go to the school gate and shout "MA loser" 3 times. Chloe's grades had been pretty good this semester, but she was also aware of my rocket-like speed. Don't tell me you're scared. The taunt worked like a charm. Chloe got fired up. Who's afraid of you? You're on. I pulled Lily with me and walked into the classroom. Liam was still catching up on sleep. He was doing much better than freshman and sophomore years. At least he could stay awake during class now. After Zoe's provocation, Lily wasn't in the mood for gossip anymore. She went back to her seat and started doing problems. This time you'll definitely beat Tom. Liam, who had woken up at some point, said. He knew how hard I studied. To cover 2 years of material in 1 semester, I had timed everything, even my water breaks. If I was a little complacent during the middle school entrance exams, I would not allow myself to fail the SATs. The second mock exam will be really hard. I'm going to crush Tom in 1 go. Dealing with Chloe was just a side quest. I pumped my fist, but Liam caught it. It's okay to study for revenge, but don't forget, you're mostly studying for yourself. A good university will give you more choices and let you get away from all these people who cause you pain. Liam's voice was unusually gentle. A free piece of advice. Go get girl. The final exam results came out quickly. I was first in the grade, far ahead of the second-place student Tom. First. Mr. Gao was incredulous. How can the top student be in a regular class? Then he saw the name, Anna. The other teachers, who were used to my meteoric rise, weren't that surprised. 1 semester left, 130 days. Ms. Hughes might actually produce a Harvard student. One teacher joked. She was specially recruited from middle school, after all. Just look at these scores. Ever since Anna joined, the students in Ms. Hughes's class are much more motivated. Congratulations. Hearing the congratulations that should have been his, Mr. Gao's face twisted. He couldn't believe it. He went to find Tom. Tom, she used to be so far behind you. You were also specially recruited. There's no reason she can score this high and you can't. Looking at Mr. Gao's expectant face, Tom felt like he was about to collapse under the pressure. I walked past them without a second glance. After listening to Liam, I decided to give up on revenge. I was lucky enough to live again. I didn't want to let hatred blind me or corrupt my heart. I just wanted to get away from all of it and do my best to get into college. Of course, I knew Harvard was a long shot, but the higher I set my goal, the more motivated I would be. I didn't want any regrets. But my new deskmate Lily still dragged me to the honors classroom. Chloe, you haven't forgotten what you said, have you? Chloe's face was beet red. I knew it. Bad at tests, bad character. Loser. I threw Mr. Gao's words right back at her. Liam was right, but sometimes a little trash talk is good for the soul. A second chance was for escaping the mud. Second semester of senior year. Two extreme things happened. Anna, congrats. On this third mock exam, you scored 3 points higher than the top student at the best high school in the city. Lily was still the queen of gossip, always getting the news first. And you know that Tom guy? He's studying so hard he barely looks human, but his scores are getting worse. I heard he's almost out of the top 100. Tom's ability to handle pressure was indeed poor. But he was just as hard on himself as ever. This time, he couldn't take it out on others, so he just doubled down on hurting himself. Alright, the SATs are in 20 days. I stopped Lily's gossip, no longer paying attention to Tom. Liam, Lily, where are your practice tests? Let your dad here correct them for you. Lily shrieked a playful retort, while Liam was as calm as ever. The day of the SATs. As I put down my pen on the last biology question, for the first time, I knew what fulfillment felt like. You can never truly rely on others. Only you can control your own destiny. After the exam, I treated Liam to a meal. This time it's really goodbye. I'm taking a loss and got you another gift. I carefully handed him the expensive Switch I had bought. It had cost a good chunk of the tutoring money he paid me. Liam accepted the gift. So can you explain that wrong idea now? What? He still remembered that. After my parents divorced, I became a kid without a home. No matter which parent I lived with, no matter what happened, I was always the one who got blamed. Nobody believed me. You were the first person who ever said you believed in me. I like you. Be my girlfriend. Liam's skin was pale, and the light blush that dusted his cheeks made him even more handsome. But I was so hurt in my past life. I was scared. I fled in a panic. I don't do long-distance relationships, sorry. What a huge waste. I should have just gotten him a basketball. My broke self was crying on the inside. After that meal, I threw myself back into working. Bumper crop. Bumper crop. Our school's orchard has a bumper crop, harvesting an extra large mango weighing 697 grams, ranking first in the state. A creative way to send out the good news. This was to get around the new policy that forbade schools from publicizing their top scorers. But our school was ecstatic anyway, setting off fireworks for 3 straight days, practically wanting to give everyone a mango. As the big mango herself, I was given the VIP treatment. Where's Liam? After finally dealing with everyone else and finding out Lily's score, I asked about him. We're adults now. We can still be friends after a rejection. He probably went abroad. Lily did well on her exams, and her gossip energy was at an all-time high. Tom only got into a second-tier state school. I hear he's going to repeat the year. I didn't ask about Tom. I was just worried about Liam's score. But Ms. Hughes said it was confidential, which probably meant Liam didn't do well. I felt bad for him. I thought about it for a long time and sent him a long, encouraging text message. All I got back were 3 words. Thank you. So rude. I could have been working instead. Later, I learned that Liam was apparently traveling. He would post on social media from every new place and send me a postcard. A rainy day in Iceland. The scorching sun in Argentina. Come back soon, school's about to start. Dad will show you the world and take you to the Harvard opening ceremony. I texted Liam. Liam replied, let's just meet at the auditorium. Can you even find the auditorium without me? I found that a little strange. Until that day. How did you get in? I saw Liam's student ID card. Maybe my dad donated another building, he joked. But what came next was no joke. He gently pulled me into a hug. A reunion gift for you. Anna, we're on the same campus. This doesn't count as a long-distance relationship, does it? The end.